Hey investor friends, I'm Michelle Marki and I hope the new year is treating you well so far. Since it's 2023, it's time for my annual update on retirement investing accounts, including some of my favorites, the Roth IRA, 401ks, and also HSAs. And I'll get comprehensively into each of those and more. And so if you also enjoy saving and investing toward retirement, I hope you'll like and subscribe to my video and YouTube channel because it really helps out with the YouTube algorithm and I greatly appreciate it. So let's get into my guide now. If you're already knowledgeable about retirement accounts and you just want to know the 2023 annual contribution limits, here are the cliff notes for you. For the Roth IRA or traditional IRA, if you're under 50, you can contribute $6,500 this year, or if you're over 50, up to $7,500 this year. And for the 401k, if you're under 50, you can contribute $22,500, and if you're over 50, you get the additional catch-up contribution to the total of $30,000. And then for the health savings account, if you're an individual and you're only doing the HSA for yourself, you can contribute $3,850 this year. And if you're doing it as a family HSA, you can contribute $7,750 this year. And so the grand total, if you're a single person under 50 and contributing across all these three types of accounts, you can contribute a grand total of $32,850 this year, which is amazing. And that's what I strive to do every year myself. And then if you're over 50 and whether you go for the family HSA or not, you could potentially be socking away between $41,000 to $45,000 across all of these retirement accounts. So across the board, it's all to your advantage, the more that you can sock away toward retirement. And now I'm going to provide you with comprehensive details on individual retirement accounts in the Roth IRA or traditional IRA forms, as well as the 401k. And there are related kinds of accounts to the 401k like 403b or thrift savings plan, aka TSP, which are very similar to the 401k, but they might have some of their own differences. So make sure you look into some of those nuances if you might have one of those kinds of accounts. But I'm mostly just going to focus on the 401k, which has largely replaced the prior corporate pensions that a lot of companies used to offer, but now most companies offer 401ks, as well as retirement plans for the self-employed and or small business owners. And finally, one of my favorites, the health savings account, which is sort of a misnomer because it's actually more of an investing account. So the irony is, even though you could just use it for plain old savings, you will get way more bang for your buck if you can actually invest it. And you might see that there are some stocks or funds that you're interested in investing in so that you can make your HSA funds grow to an even bigger amount to afford qualified medical expenses, but more on some of that later. And so to start with, I'm going to talk about IRAs. So my favorite is the Roth IRA, and that means where we get a tax break later. So we ideally want to pay taxes while we're in a lower income tax bracket, and then we can enjoy tax-free withdrawals during retirement. This means we grow contributions and earnings tax-free, and we have to contribute from earned income or taxable compensation, such as salaries or wages or self-employment income. And the income limits of modified adjusted gross income, Marki, apply. And you can contribute your max yearly amount if your Marki as a single tax filer or head of household is less than $138,000, but it phases out between $138K to $153K, after which no more contributions are allowed. And like I mentioned earlier, you can do an after-tax contribution of up to $6,500 if you're under 50 or up to $7,500 if you're over 50. And contributions aren't tax deductible because you made the contribution with income that was already taxed. And you can invest in a wide array of equities and funds and bonds and all kinds of things that are the sky's the limit, basically. And the total contributions per year across both a Roth IRA and traditional IRA cannot exceed $6,500 or $7,500 if you're over 50, or 100% of your compensation, whichever is less. And then you can roll over a Roth 401k to a Roth IRA. And there's no required minimum distributions or RMDs with a Roth IRA, which I love because you're able to keep compounding your money well into retirement, and you're not forced to actually withdraw it in your early 70s like you're currently made to now with the other kinds of retirement accounts, which I'll also mention later. And with the Roth IRA, distributions can avoid a 10% penalty in an IRA to Roth conversion if you're invested for at least 5 years. And then if you're age 59 and a half and older, there's no taxes or penalties. You can withdraw your original contributions at any time without tax penalty, but distributions of earnings are only tax-free if the initial contributions were made at least 5 years ago and you're either 59 and a half disabled or buying your first home with up to $10,000 maximum. Otherwise, there's a 10% penalty and you might owe income tax. And there may also be some exceptions that you need to keep in mind as to where you're allowed to take out some of your original principal from the Roth IRA. So just keep some of that in mind if you find yourself in that situation. And then with the traditional IRA, that's where you get a tax break now. So you don't pay taxes on contributions and earnings now if you are in a higher tax bracket, let's say, but you pay ordinary income tax on distributions during retirement. And you have to contribute from earned income or taxable compensation. But unlike the Roth IRA, there are no income limits in order to contribute to an IRA, but tax deductions on contributions may be phased out or not be allowed if you also have a workplace retirement plan, such as a 401k. And the contribution limits are the same like a Roth IRA, and you can also generally invest in a bunch of stuff. And you can do a conversion of a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA, which is known as a backdoor Roth IRA. And that's a great option if your Marki is too high for the regular Roth, and you can basically just pay taxes on the converted amount at your ordinary income level, and then pretty much try to grow the funds in a Roth IRA in the future tax-free essentially for the rest of the time. So that's kind of nice. So you can also roll over a 401k with pre-tax dollars to a traditional IRA. The RMDs apply if you're age 73 and over, but if you have earned income at any age, you can still contribute to either a traditional and or Roth IRA. And with RMD, there are some steep penalties if you don't take the required amount within the allotted time frame. And then similarly to the Roth IRA at age 59 and a half and older, there are no taxes or penalties. And keep in mind some of these additional notes if they're pertinent to your situation. And next, with employer-sponsored defined contribution plans known as 401ks, there can be up to $66,000 for those under 50 or $73,500 for those over 50 from a combination of employee and employer contributions in 2023. And unlike pensions, there are no guarantees for payouts during retirement. Required minimum distributions or RMDs apply to both pre-tax and Roth 401ks. There are RMD penalties that apply if there are amounts that are not withdrawn on time, and you can contribute as an employee pre-tax or Roth elective deferrals up to $22,500 if you're under 50 or up to $30,000 if you're over 50. And a few plans may allow after tax, which is different from Roth contributions, up to the max 401k limit, which is the $66K if you're under 50. And then employers may choose to match employees' contributions up to $43,500. For example, an employer could match 1-to-1. If an employee contributes 5% of their salary, then the employer also contributes 5% of the employee's salary. And some employers don't match nor contribute to an employee's 401k. And usually you have a limited number of mutual funds or fixed income cash funds that you can invest in. And some plans might allow you to invest into individual stocks or ETFs and so on. And a few notes to keep in mind is that you're allowed to loan from a 401k. You pay taxes and 10% penalties on any distributions before age 59 and a half, with few exceptions. And 401ks allow employee contribution deductions from yearly taxable income, and the total contributions cannot exceed your earned income in the year. And many employers opt to provide 401k plans over pension plans, as you can see in comparison in the column to the right, because there's less financial commitment on the employer to contribute to their employees' retirement plans. And finally, a conversion of a 401k to a Roth IRA is known as a mega backdoor Roth IRA because of the potential to roll over extra after-tax or non-Roth contributions. 401k contribution maximums apply per person, not per plan, if you have multiple 401k opportunities. And next, there are some options for the self-employed, or if you are a small business owner, known as the solo 401k, the SEP IRA, and the simple IRA. And as we can see, the solo 401k is a lot like the regular 401k if you have an employer, but in this case, you are self-employed, so you are providing a 401k for yourself, and you can also make your contributions respectively there. And there are some differences with a SEP IRA and simple IRA that I'm not going to get too much into detail here, but you can keep some of this in mind if it applies to your situation. And last but not least, one of my favorites, the health savings account, which can be used for either qualified medical expenses and or retirement when you get to that age. And so what's required here is a high deductible health plan that you have as your health insurance. And that means in order to be eligible to have the HSA, your high deductible health plan minimum deductible limits have to be for an individual either $1,500 or for a family $3,000. And then the HDHP maximum cost that you would have as your annual out-of-pocket maximum limits would be up to $7,500 as an individual or $15,000 as a family. And then you usually have employee-owned and funded HSAs. Employers may contribute, but that's optional. And some employers may choose HDHP deductibles that are higher than the minimum limits and which may be up to the maximum out-of-pocket cost. And then your annual contribution limits are for an individual $3,850 or for a family $7,750. And if you're over 55, you have catch-up contributions of $1,000. And also note, if you stop being HSA eligible and made contributions, these may be considered part of your gross income, and there may be a 10% additional tax on the non-eligible contributions. So check with the IRS for the exact rules. And some of the tax benefits are amazing. They're even better than the Roth IRA because you have the triple tax advantage of tax-free contributions, qualified medical expense withdrawals, and investment growth. So you're never taxed on what's contributed or what's taken out on medical expenses, and also the earnings on your investments grow tax-free. So the fact that you're able to contribute is amazing. And just keep in mind, the pre-tax version of HSA saves more on taxes than if you have to do the after-tax contributions and do a tax deductible thing on your federal income taxes. So just keep some of that in mind. And with the HSA, you can invest in a whole bunch of things like stocks, index or mutual funds, ETFs, and bonds, and many more things. And some employer-sponsored HSAs have predetermined investment options such as mutual funds or index funds that are a little bit limited. And some annual conditions you should keep in mind is that any unused amounts in your HSA are definitely rolled over to the next year, and you actually own it forever. They're never taken from you. And this is in contrast to something known as a flexible spending account, which in 2023, you're only allowed to roll over up to $610 out of $3,050 into the next year, 2024. So if I had to choose, HSA is hands down way better than an FSA. So just keep that in mind. And also the ownership rules are, like I said, you own the HSA forever and all the funds in it, unless you took it out for qualified medical expenses. And by age 65 plus, you can withdraw the funds and simply pay income tax without paying a 20% penalty, and it does not have to be used for medical expenses. So if you're also by age 65 enrolled in Medicare, you can't contribute to the HSA anymore. So across all of these kinds of retirement investing accounts, I think that the sky's the limit as to how much you can grow your retirement nest egg. And I think that if you try very hard to contribute as much as possible across many of these retirement accounts, you are bound to have a comfortable retirement in your older age. And so if you enjoyed this video or learned something, please like and subscribe. And I wish you well on your journey to retirement saving and investing. Till next time.